Your cat has never once told you they were upset. Not because they weren't, because cats are wired to hide discomfort from the people they live with, even when it's those exact people causing it. Most owners assume silence means happiness. No hissing, no hiding, no scratching, so everything must be fine. But veterinary behaviorists say that logic is completely backwards. The cats who hide stress the most are often the ones who trust their owners the most. And the things triggering that stress are almost always small, daily habits that feel like love from your side of the relationship. 7 of them are more common than you think. And number 4 is something almost every owner does, usually while trying to show affection. Thing 1, forced cuddling. The affection they didn't agree to. This is the one most people push back on first, because it comes from genuine love. You want to hold your cat. You want physical closeness. You reach for them, you pull them onto your lap, you keep them there even when they shift or try to move, because the warmth of it feels mutual. But here is what is happening on your cat's side of that interaction. Feline social comfort is built entirely on one variable: voluntary control of distance. A cat chooses to approach. A cat chooses to stay. A cat chooses when contact ends. The moment that choice is removed, even briefly, even gently, the interaction shifts from affiliative to managed. Your cat lying on your lap by their own decision is contentment. Your cat being held on your lap after trying to leave is stress. Managed quietly, because they trust you enough not to escalate. The distinction matters because the managed version looks identical from the outside. A cat sitting still while being held looks like a cat enjoying being held. What the research shows is that cortisol levels in restrained cats, even cats restrained by their primary owner, are measurably elevated. The stillness is not relaxation. It is compliance. The fix is not to stop holding your cat. It is to let them decide when holding starts and ends. A cat that voluntarily climbs onto you and voluntarily stays, that cat is content. The duration and the physical closeness will often exceed what you got from forced contact. Because chosen proximity is the only proximity that registers as safe. Thing 2, direct, sustained staring, the threat you don't know you're making. This one operates below conscious awareness for most owners. You look at your cat, you find them beautiful or funny or interesting. You hold your gaze on them because you love them, and looking at them feels good. Your cat's nervous system is processing that sustained gaze as a threat assessment posture. In feline social language, direct eye contact held for more than a few seconds is the behavioral signature of a predator evaluating prey, or an aggressor evaluating a rival. It is not neutral. It is not warm. It is, at the threat processing level, a challenge. Cats who trust their owners override this processing. They recognize your face, your scent, your behavioral context, and they do not react to your staring the way they would react to a stranger's stare. But the override requires effort. Every prolonged gaze you hold on your cat is a small tax on their nervous system, a micro moment of threat processing that has to be consciously resolved before they can return to rest. If your cat looks away when you stare at them, they are not being dismissive. They are breaking the threat posture. They are de-escalating a signal you didn't know you were sending. The correct version is soft eyes, a relaxed, slightly unfocused gaze rather than direct, intent focus. And the slow blink, the deliberate closure of the eyes that communicates, in feline language, the precise opposite of threat. The moment you understand this, you realize that looking away from your cat is sometimes the most loving thing you can do. Thing 3, loud and unpredictable sounds. why your laugh might be startling them. Cats have a hearing range that extends to 85 kilohertz, more than 4 times the upper limit of human hearing. This extraordinary sensitivity serves their predatory function in nature. In a domestic environment, it means that the sounds you produce as a normal part of daily life occupy a very different acoustic space for your cat than they do for you. Sudden loud sounds, a dropped pan, a shout, a burst of laughter, a door slamming, register in your cat's threat detection system as potential danger before their cortex has time to contextualize them as familiar. The body reacts first. The recognition follows. This is not a problem you can solve by staying silent. It is a reality of sharing space with an animal whose nervous system is calibrated for a different threat environment than yours. But it becomes a problem when unpredictability is the consistent feature of your home's sound environment. A cat who regularly experiences sudden, loud, uncontextual sounds, regardless of whether those sounds are happy ones, maintains a higher baseline arousal level than a cat whose environment is acoustically predictable. The specific pattern to watch for: your cat's ears. A cat whose ears are constantly in motion, scanning, rotating, tracking, rather than resting forward or to the side, is a cat whose auditory system is consistently working to assess threat from the sound environment. That is the cat living at a higher stress level than they need to be. Thing 4. Petting in the wrong places or for too long. The one you're doing right now. This is the one that will land personally, because almost every owner does it, and almost every owner does it with the best possible intentions. Cats have specific, well-documented preferences for where they like to be touched, and equally specific aversions to being touched in certain areas: the head, the chin, the cheeks near the whisker pads, the base of the ears. These are the high acceptance zones. The area at the base of the tail, the belly, the legs, the paws, these are the high sensitivity zones that many cats actively dislike having touched, particularly by humans. Most owners know this in the abstract, but petting a cat while distracted, while watching television, while talking to someone else, while thinking about something, frequently drifts from the high acceptance areas toward the sensitive ones. And a cat who tolerated the first 20 strokes begins showing subtle signals of overstimulation that most owners miss entirely. The signals are specific: tail swishing or thumping against a surface, skin twitching on the back as if trying to shake off a fly, ears rotating back, a subtle shift in body tension, eyes dilating slightly. Any of these, in the context of petting, is your cat's preliminary communication. This is becoming too much. Most owners do not stop at these signals. They continue petting, sometimes with more enthusiasm, interpreting the tail movement as enjoyment. And then they are surprised when the cat bites. The bite was not unprovoked. It was the 7th signal after 6 signals were ignored. Petting sessions that end when the cat chooses to end them, before the escalation sequence begins, produce cats that are significantly more likely to initiate contact the next time. Because contact that stops when they want it to stop is contact they can trust. Thing 5. Inconsistent routines. The anxiety you build without knowing it. This is the one that operates on the longest time scale, which is partly why it is so rarely connected to its effects. Cats are a creature of deep temporal pattern. Their nervous systems are calibrated to predict feeding times, interaction windows, the schedule of sounds and movements that constitute your shared daily life. The predictability of your routine is not a minor comfort for your cat. It is the structural foundation of their sense of safety. When that routine is inconsistent, when feeding times shift unpredictably, when your schedule changes without warning, when the pattern your cat has built over weeks is disrupted by irregular hours or variable social engagement, the effect on your cat's stress baseline is measurable. Research on cats in households with inconsistent human schedules shows elevated cortisol levels on irregular days compared to consistent ones. Not because anything specifically negative happened, because the predictive model your cat has been building was wrong. And an animal whose predictions about their environment fail is an animal in a heightened threat state. This is not a call for rigid inflexibility. It is an observation about cost. Every time your schedule shifts without pattern, your cat pays a small stress tax that you do not see because they have been quietly managing it. The mitigation is not a perfect schedule. It is predictable anchors, consistent feeding windows, consistent morning and evening rituals. The behavioral markers that tell your cat's nervous system, even when other things change, these things do not. Thing 6. Strong sense, the sensory assault they endure silently. 200 million olfactory receptors versus 5 million. That is the difference between your cat's nose and yours. The scented candle you find pleasant occupies an olfactory intensity for your cat that is, proportionally, not unlike sitting inside the candle. Essential oil diffusers, particularly those using citrus, eucalyptus, mint, or cinnamon, are among the most commonly reported environmental stressors in cats seen by veterinary behaviorists. Some of these compounds are not just unpleasant to cats, they are toxic. But the subtler version of this problem, the one that doesn't trigger toxicity, but does trigger chronic low-level stress, is simply the ambient scent load of a modern home. Cleaning products, air fresheners, scented laundry detergents on the fabrics your cat sleeps on. Your cat will not tell you this is a problem. They will move away from the source when possible. They may spend more time near windows or in rooms where the scent is lower. They may show subtle avoidance of areas that smell strongly of the products you use. The behavioral tell is location preference. If your cat avoids rooms or furniture they used to occupy freely, and those spaces have recently acquired a new scent, that is information about your cat's olfactory experience, delivered in the only language available to them. Thing 7. Skipping playtime, the need most owners underestimate. This one is easy to deprioritize because it does not produce visible distress when it's missing. A cat deprived of sufficient hunting outlet does not, in most cases, visibly suffer. They rest more. They seem calm. They occupy the couch with an ease that looks like contentment. But underneath that resting surface, predatory energy is accumulating without release. And the cat who has nowhere to hunt redirects that energy somewhere, toward your ankles, toward your other cat, toward objects on your desk. The random aggression, the 2 a.m. zoomies, the inexplicable target fixation on something benign, these are the behavioral expressions of predatory energy that had nowhere to go. The specific deficit is not play in the general sense. It is the prey sequence, the stalk, the chase, the pounce, the catch, in its full form. A toy that rolls predictably across the floor does not satisfy this need the way a wand toy that moves erratically, that hides behind furniture, that disappears and reappears, approximates the actual flight pattern of prey. 5 to 10 minutes of genuine hunting simulation, twice a day, consistently. This is the specific intervention that veterinary behaviorists recommend. Not a full hour of play, not an expensive toy that moves automatically. A wand, a consistent schedule, and a human willing to make the toy behave like something worth catching. The cat who gets this does not have pent-up predatory energy redirected toward you. The cat who doesn't, does. Here's what I want you to hold on to from this video. Your cat has been managing every one of the things on this list in silence. Not because they are okay with them, because they are wired, specifically, evolutionarily, at the level of survival instinct, to conceal discomfort from the animals they live with. In the wild, a cat who visibly shows stress to a larger animal is a cat who has made themselves a target. The concealment of distress is not a personality trait. It is a survival behavior so deeply embedded that it activates even in the safest domestic environment, even with the most trusted human. And here's the part that matters most. The cats who hide it best are almost always the most bonded cats, the ones who trust their owners most completely, the ones for whom the relationship is most important. They hide the discomfort because the relationship matters too much to risk. Which means the cat who sits quietly while being held too long, who never bites when overstimulated, who manages the loud sounds and the strong smells and the missed playtime without a single visible complaint, that cat is not telling you everything is fine. That cat is telling you, you matter enough to protect from the truth. You matter enough that I will carry this quietly rather than show you something that might change how you feel about me. That is not a cat who tolerates you. That is a cat who loves you enough to absorb your mistakes. Make fewer of them. Tag someone who has a cat that never seems bothered by anything. Tell them, the cat is bothered. They're just very good at hiding it from someone they love. If this changed how you'll read your cat's silence, hit subscribe. Every week we go deeper into what your cat is actually experiencing, communicating, and choosing, in the space between what you see and what is actually happening. Next week, the real reason your cat brings you things: dead animals, toys, socks, and what the emotion behind that behavior actually is. Because it is not what most people assume. And once you understand it, you will never receive one of those gifts the same way again. Drop a comment below. Which of the 7 hit you hardest? The forced cuddling? The staring? Number 4, the petting one? Tell me the one you're going to change first, because I think knowing is the first step, and you clearly already care enough to be here.